to the 31st Annual Museum of Polo Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for coming. For those of you that haven't met me yet tonight, I'm Martin Craig, and I am the chairman of the board for the Polo Museum and Hall of Fame. And in honor of the event that we have every year, our board works diligently, our selection committee works diligently to try and identify the heroes of our sport and the people who've contributed to the sport and their horses in an event tonight that we've been doing now for 31 straight years. In fact, it's the 42nd year of the museum because for a number of years it traveled around the United States, and then it moved here to Florida and opened roughly in 1986. And since that time, we've put 96 people in the Hall of Fame. We've got 41 horses to remember, and we've got 33 Eichelhart Award winners. In fact, a number of those are in this room tonight, and I would ask them all to stand and be recognized by the crowd. A few years ago, we were inducting Adam Snow into the Hall of Fame, and one of the comments he made that night was he never really knew much about the Polo Museum and Hall of Fame, and in fact, he didn't think it was a very interesting place, perhaps. But the night we were inducting him, he said, "I've totally changed my mind, and now I understand it." And so one of the things I'd invite you to do, if there's somebody at your table that's been inducted into the Hall of Fame or is a member of the Eichelhart Award winners or whatever, introduce yourselves and congratulate them on such a great thing that they've all done for the sport of polo. The other thing I wanted to let you know, we as a museum have taken three responsibilities for the sport. One is to foster an appreciation of the sport, its history, development, and traditions. The second is by acquiring, preserving, exhibiting, and interpreting our collections. And last, but most importantly, by honoring those who made an outstanding contribution to the sport. And I can tell you that this many years later, the response from the polo community in support of the museum has been at a historic kind of level. And I want to thank all of you who support the sport and support the museum and come here and help us accomplish our purpose. Thank you all very much. Lastly, I want to thank the people that do the hard work. We have a number of the members of the board of directors here tonight, and I would also like them to stand and be recognized because it's an all-volunteer army that runs this museum, and without their help, we wouldn't be able to do what we do every year. So if I could have members of the board stand, and please, a round of applause. Oops. Dropped my thing. Lastly, there are three people on the museum staff that are here every day that get the work done on the ground. George DuPont, Brenda DuPont, and Brandon Fabel. And could we have a round of applause for their... And last, I wanted to take a moment to recognize Glenn and Gloria Holden have been huge supporters of the museum for many, many, many years. And Glenn, as you all know, has been a big part of the sport. Gloria passed away in December. And I wanted everybody to take a moment and just reflect on Gloria's passing. And if you get a chance to say something to Glenn, please do. They've been, as a couple, incredibly helpful to the museum and very generous with their support in many ways. So, for a moment, for Gloria. Lastly, before we get to eat, I want to thank all of the sponsors who donate to the museum in one way or another and make this event possible. And it's a long list, but I'm going to read it quickly to get through it. I want to thank first Mark and Melissa Ganzi, Digital Bridge LLC and Grand Champions for sponsoring the dinner this year. Thank you all. For providing the wine and spirits, Lippman Brothers, Robert Lippman, Margaret Lippman Orthwine, Brown Foreman, Bacardi, Tito's, Old Hickory Bourbon, Line 39 and Corbel. Wayne and Pamela Garrison and the Jan Pamela Polo Ranch were sponsoring our entertainment tonight. We have two new sponsors this year in the U.S. Polo ASSN and Jetcraft. Thank you. And then we have a number of people who donate a variety of things and help to us. Alex Pacheco for all the photography that he donates to the museum. Melinda Brewer donates the paintings for the Horses to Remember. Melinda, thank you incredibly. Crystal Zaski Photography. And then we have sponsors. When you go out the door tonight, Melinda has this passion for polo horses, and each year she does a book on her own. And for the last 5 years or so, we've been acquiring a series of those books from her and handing them out. So when you leave tonight, for each couple that's here, we've got a book for you. And I want you to know that it's all out of the kindness of Melinda Brewer that all of that artwork exists. So thank Melinda very much for what she does. And the other two sponsors for the book are the Iconica Foundation and Mike Egan, who also stepped up to the plate to help make sure that that got printed this year. So thank you all. So now please enjoy your meal. We'll come back with the ceremony in a little while, and we hope we're all going to have a good time and some good entertainment besides. Thank you. So this is the interactive part of the presentation. For any of you who've been here multiple times, you may know the answer to this question, but how many museums for the sport of polo are there in the world? One. And you are sitting in it. So congratulations to all those who came before us who thought this was a good idea, because it's done amazingly well with all of the support. And thank all of you for coming to support us this year. So I'm now going to go right into the program, and let's get started. The Horses to Remember Awards are presented to recognize outstanding polo ponies whose achievements on the field are singled out as worthy of recognition. Our first horse to remember is Gargantia. She was a celebrated polo pony that could not be confused with any other. A flashy, piebald, white-throated mare, neither her appearance nor talent on the field could be ignored. Gargantia was owned by Harry Payne Whitney, but she was the favorite mount for his best friend Devereaux Milburn, with whom she is linked eternally, remembered for their unforgettable play together in the top matches of the era. Born in 1914 in Argentina, Gargantia first made her reputation as the star of the Argentine team, earning the best playing pony in 1921. The following year was yet another victorious season, and Gargantia helped the Argentines win the Open Cup at Hurlingham in London, followed by another trip overseas to take the U.S. Open Championship of America, playing under John Miles and Louis Lacey. At the conclusion of those 1922 matches, the spectacular mare was promptly purchased by Harry Payne Whitney to add to his string of superior ponies. She immediately became a favorite mount for Whitney's close friend Devereaux Milburn, winning the most important matches in the United States in 1923, a feat capped off with Gargantia's win of the coveted Prince Friarstown Cup of the National Polo Pony Society. The celebrated duo went on to play together for many years. Intriguing tributes to their special connection are the portrayals of Milburn on Gargantia by two of the most outstanding artists of the era, Sir Alfred Munnings and Franklin B. Voss. The grandson of Harry Payne Whitney, Lev Miller, regrets that he could not be here tonight. but he asked me to let you know that he is honored and happy that another one of his grandfather's incredible polo ponies is being honored by the Hall of Fame. He thought it was meaningful to know that the museum's logo of the Four Horsemen was chosen because it is the likeness of the iconic team of men known as the Big Four in their legendary horses. Lev's grandfather, Harry Payne Whitney, and his friend Devereaux Milburn were half of the Big Four, and it was Whitney's specific mission to acquire the most superior horses, Gargantia being among them. Tina Milburn, the granddaughter of Deb Milburn, who made history playing Gargantia, said she knows her grandfather would be very proud that his great polo pony partner is being honored tonight. So let's give a round of applause for Gargantia. And are we taking a photograph first?
I don't think we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Gargantia. Thank you. All right. Next. Our next inductee is Wembley. Many of you in the room know this horse. Wembley is now owned by Bob Jernavis and is being recognized as the modern era horse to remember inductee. Extraordinarily talented, versatile, and dependable, Wembley has been a recognized hero on the polo field for many years, and until being recently retired was counted on as a mainstay of the formidable Valiente string. Foaled in 1993 and playing until the age of 23, the elegant black thoroughbred gelding was initially discovered by Memo Gracida in England in 1999. Since that time, Wembley has made a lasting impression, garnering fans around the world as he played at the highest level by many of the best players in the sport, and the accolades just kept coming. In addition to numerous Best Playing Pony awards, Wembley was acclaimed as the Horse of the Year in 2004, and in 2013 he was the first recipient of the Wembley Award established in his honor to recognize horses that have had longevity and excellence playing at the high goal level at IPC. That year he played throughout the season and in 4 chukkers of the U.S. Open. Wembley was formally retired in 2016 and is currently enjoying a well-deserved life of ease in South Carolina. Accepting the award for Wembley tonight, Bob Jernavis.
Say anything?
Absolutely.
Talk close to the microphone, it helps. Closer to the microphone. Well, first I want to thank the museum for this incredible honor. I really appreciate it. And thank you to all the sponsors. Melissa, it's wonderful. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for all the other sponsors that have made this dinner possible. Normally, when we're fortunate enough to win a horse award, I start out by thanking Adolfo and Maria for including me, but I'm going to end up thanking them because I've got to thank Memo Gracida, Bauti Hagi, Nick Roldan, Miguel Novillo, Pelon Sterling, Adolfo who played him. The list goes on and on of 10 goalers that had the fortunate opportunity to play this wonderful gelding. And I remind everyone that he was a gelding and was gelded at an early age. So Adolfo convinced me to clone him. And so we now have 2 magnificent 4-year-old stallions from the gelding that are now playing really well. And so what's going to be fun is to see the babies of the magnificent Wembley gelding that are going to be playing in years to come. So thank you to the museum, and thank you especially the USPA for allowing us the opportunity to retire him on Field 1 at the 2016 at the finals of the U.S. Open. So thank you to them as well. Thank you.
Bob, thank you. The next category of award is the Eigelhart Award. And the Hall of Fame's Eigelhart Award began in 2001 and is given to acknowledge exceptional lifetime contributions to the sport of polo. Our first inductee tonight is George Sherman Sr. Known as the father of indoor polo, George Sherman was almost single-handedly responsible for organizing and refining this ever-popular version of the sport. He was the founder and first president of the Indoor Polo Association from 1915 to 1926. He introduced the inflatable ball. He redesigned the standard polo equipment for the arena game's specific needs and modified the rules of outdoor polo for indoor use. Zealous in introducing young players into the sport, Sherman presented the first Interscholastic Cup in 1928. Since all collegiate and scholastic polo is now played indoors, he may be said to have innovated this invaluable training ground for the sport. The Sherman Arena National Memorial has been played since 1932 to honor his monumental efforts for indoor polo. His son, George Sherman Jr., also carried on the family tradition of dedication to the sport, and for his exemplary leadership in polo, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1998. Accepting the award for George Sherman Sr. is his granddaughter, Wendy Sherman. Wendy.
Wendy, talk close to the microphone, it helps, okay?
It's not often one has both a grandfather and a father both inducted to the Hall of Fame. The former for his contributions to indoor polo, and the latter, my father, for his dedication to the growth and expansion of outdoor game. He was one of the founders of the museum and continued my grandfather's legacy of promoting and advancing the sport on every level with passion and pride. I never had the opportunity to know my grandfather. He died in 1933. When I heard he was being honored and I had to give a 3 to 5 minute speech, ideally complete with stories and amusing anecdotes, I wondered what could possibly I provide of interest. I didn't have any tales to tell and knew very little about him. I can tell you this. After rummaging around in several dusty, musty big old boxes, I discovered I didn't need Ancestry.com to learn about George Carter Sherman Sr. His letters, photos, and personal memorabilia told me everything I needed to know about his personality and character, a sterling one at that. All which goes to say he was devoted to the sport, and as you just heard, was a giant of arena polo, highly respected by his peers, and as I came to learn, an experienced show horse judge. Horses were very important to my grandfather, especially the breeding and training. Imagine my surprise in one of those dusty, musty boxes, I discovered the 1929 editorial headline of the Herald Tribune, and I quote, "Sherman Stable dominates the field at the 36th Annual Westchester Horse Show," end of quote. As a businessman, he founded a successful own advertising agency, George C. Sherman Company, and was the president of NOAB, at the time, the National Outdoor Advertising Bureau. He had the patience, caring, and kind personality to put his son, my father, on a horse at 3 years old and had him swinging a mini mallet shortly thereafter. He was a gentleman and sportsman of the highest caliber. He lived with the conviction that a dream could be achieved, and his dream was a big one. He was charming, cheerful, a thoughtful friend, quick thinking, fearless, and unafraid of the sideboard peril and cramped quarters of the indoor ring. By now, due to its rapid rise and under his direction, the polo was no longer referred to as grooms and brooms. So many of his fine attributes were passed on to my father, George Carter Sherman Jr., whose reputation survives today as gallant and most gracious, but a veritable pistolero on the field. I can only surmise how happy Senior and Junior would be if they were here today sitting together with all of you on this splendid Florida evening. I think we would have gotten along quite well, and I can assure you they'd both be the first on the dance floor. Perhaps there'll be a third generation of Shermans inducted to the Hall of Fame. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Thank you, Wendy. Our next inductee from the Eaglehart Award is Pat Dix. Playing polo since the age of 13 in Spokane, Washington, Pat Dix achieved a 5-goal rating, and his accomplishments on the field included being the leading scorer of the winning 1963 Cornell National Intercollegiate Championship team. He was a runner-up for the U.S. Open in 1986 and notched wins of notable tournaments such as the America's Cup National 16-goal, the High Goal Sunshine League, National 12-goal intra-circuit, and many Pacific Northwest championships. In 1986, he received the Hugo Delmar National Sportsmanship Award, and in 2004 was honored at Cornell University by being inducted into their Polo Hall of Fame. Along the way, he managed to log more than 60 years of volunteer service to the sport of polo. His leadership roles included the USPA Executive Vice President, Pacific Northwest Governor, National Rules Committee Chairman, Governor at Large, and Chairman of the Pacific Northwest Circuit Handicap and USPA Rules Committees. He was also instrumental in leading the effort to establish a new Pacific Northwest Circuit, which had previously been part of the Pacific Coast Circuit. We're honored to have Pat Dix here tonight to accept his award.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Talk close to the microphone, it helps.
Okay. All right, I'll do that. Okay. Wow, this is quite a night for me. I really appreciate you all being here. Thanks to the USPA, and thanks to the selection committee, and thanks to the museum and the Polo Hall of Fame. It really is special. And when I got the call from Bill Sinclair last fall, I thought, wow, I can't believe it that I'm with these other great people that have been honored at this museum. So thanks very much. And I also want to thank, I've got quite a bit of family here from Spokane. That's about as far as you can go, Spokane, Washington, in the United States. I've got 2 boys here. Mike, he's here with his two sons. Both of one of them 16, the other is 22, going to Washington State University. And then I have another son here, Kevin. He's here with his beautiful wife, Sarah. And then, of course, my wife, Kath, is right over here, Kathleen, and I want to thank her. She supported me all the years in polo, and a lot of times, as she said, it kind of second fiddle to the polo game, but she always gave me that support, and I appreciate that and love her for that, especially on Valentine's Day. Yeah. So also my sister Susie's here from Spokane. She's quite a horsewoman, and she's been riding horses all her life and does equestrian and stuff, and now she's been playing polo for quite a few years. She lives on a farm in Spokane, has about 30 horses, and she and her daughter train polo horses. And she's here with her husband-to-be. They're getting married this fall, A.T., and then I'd like to thank the other Kath, my wife's sister that's here, Mary. She came all the way from Spokane. So let's give them a hand. I want to thank them for coming. So polo for me got started in Spokane. My dad was a horse guy, and he got my sister and I riding horse shows and events and that kind of thing when we were about 10, and then got into polo. I was about 13, I think. I played my first tournament then, and then we got to go travel around the Northwest. We played down in Wyoming, and we played in Canada and Calgary and Vancouver and up in Portland, a lot of places in the Northwest, and great experience in high school. And then a really great turn of events for me was to go to Cornell and play for the great Doc Roberts, the coach there, who's in the Hall of Fame. And he was a great guy and really a good coach, and we had a lot of fun. met a lot of great guys. Got to play with the Orthwines and Corey's and Butch Butterworth and the people I'm trying to remember out of Hawaii. But anyhow, met a lot of great people and learned a lot. Really fun. And as it said up there, we went to New York City in '63 and won the National Intercollegiates right in downtown New York City in Squadron A Armory, and that was quite a thrill and a lot of fun. And then that same year, '63, I met Tommy Oxley. He came to Cornell. And what a blessing that was, turned out to be for me, because then we went down to Fort Lauderdale in the spring of my sophomore year, and I met Jack Oxley, and I met his dad, John, the great John Oxley, and wow, that was just the beginning of a lot of great opportunities to play polo, play good polo, high goal polo, really fun, and I went to work for his dad first, and I spent the one winter down here in Boca, and then he invited me up to Tulsa, and I spent the summer, and I lived with he and Mary Oxley, and that was special, and worked for Joe Casey, who's over there, and it was just a great experience. I think it was Billy Mayer was there, and we rode horses all day and trained and played polo and played up in Wichita, and then we went on to Chicago. I didn't play in the Open then, but it was really a super experience. So, I think I always remember one year Jack called me and he said, we're going to put a team together for the Sunshine League, the High Goal League, and why don't you come down and play? This is in the fall of '71. And I said, well, Jack, I'm getting married, and we're going on a honeymoon, and my wife's got a job, and I got a job. And Jack said, well, when's your honeymoon? When do you get back from your honeymoon? And I said, well, it's like the 1st of January or something. He said, oh, that'll work fine. The tournament doesn't start till the first week in January, so you can work that out, and we can fly your wife down if she gets a vacation, and you can go back and forth. So I can always remember we came home from a honeymoon, and a couple of days later I was on a plane waving to her and headed off to Florida, and she stayed home and lived with her mom and dad, and I lived with Jack and his wife down there. And but it was a great experience and really fun, and we did well in that Sunshine League that year. We won a lot of games. Our team wasn't quite as highly rated as some of the others. And I always remember that we got down to the last game, and we were trying to beat Jack's dad John's team, and he had a lot higher rated team. I remember Gonzalo Tenaro was on that team. I'm not sure who everybody else was, but they had to spot us quite a few goals, and we played them pretty even through the first half, and then the second half they started catching up with us, and we got down to the last chukker, and we were only one goal ahead. And I remember they took a shot at goal, missed it, and I was taking the knock-ins, and Jack rode over to me and he said, just dribble it along the end line real slowly and then hit it out of bounds. And so we did that, and we won the game, and it worked out good, but I mean, his dad was not very happy with it. And he said, that's not the way you play polo. But we kind of thought, well, it's kind of like taking a knee in football or something. So, So meeting the Oxley family was really a great blessing for me, and I just appreciate it. Jack and I have been friends for 60 years, close friends. We stay in close contact, and I really want to thank his dad, Tommy, Jack. I'd like to really give them a hand. They've done a lot for polo. Let's see. So after a lot of years ago. Well, we did get to go up. We played in the U.S. Open, as that deal up there said. In 1986, we made it to the final game, and we had a good team. We thought we were going to win it, but Del Carroll was our main star. I think he was 9 goals at the time, and he hurt his arm, and so he wasn't worth what he normally was worth, and so we didn't win that deal, but it was a lot of fun. So we got a few years of playing up in Chicago, and that was just really a blessing to me. I appreciated all that. And then, as they were saying on the video, I did get involved with administration of the leadership of the Polo Association, and as a circuit governor for quite a few years, and governor at large, and then serving on the rules as head of the rules committee for about 10 years, and that was a great experience, and executive vice president, and it was such a neat experience for me to go travel around, to those meetings, and with great other guys that were great businessmen and leaders, and I remember Bill Sinclair and Ski Johnson and Riemann Snyder, a bunch of those guys, and Jack, and we really had it was fun to go there, and I learned a lot and got to give something back to Polo, so I really appreciated all that. So I wish we could play Polo today. I really realized I can't do it too much anymore, because last year I took a couple grandsons to the carousel in Spokane downtown at the park, and these are little guys about 8, and tied them onto the horses, and then I was going to get on the horse behind them, and I couldn't get my foot up into the stirrup. And then a guy helped me. I got my foot up in the stirrup. I couldn't get my leg over the back. So I thought, wow, this is something. We went from high goal polo, and I can't ride the carousel. So that was convincing that that's over. Yeah. So anyhow. So really, I thank you all very much. I appreciate everybody being here, and it's just a great honor for me. Thank you. Sure. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, sure.
How are you? Let's go up here.
Pat, thank you. It takes a brave individual to stand up here and talk about how he convinced his wife to like the idea that a week after his honeymoon was over, he was going to travel to play polo and leave her at home. I admire that, but I'm not sure it's a good idea in my house. Our last group of inductees tonight is the Hall of Fame for 2020. The criteria for the Hall of Fame is any person shall be eligible for election to the Polo Hall of Fame who has contributed to the game in an extraordinary and honorable manner, whether by dedication to the sport or by ability and record as a player. Chosen as the posthumous Hall of Fame inductee is Cyril Harrison. Cyril Harrison dedicated his entire life to polo. He was recognized as an accomplished player, gifted instructor, a beloved mentor, a respected horseman, and an exceptional trainer of polo ponies. Noted in the New Yorker magazine in 1928 as polo's rising star, Harrison went on to a rating of 7 goals outdoor and 8 goals in the arena, playing alongside the greatest of his era. He was known for his exquisite hitting style and smart competitive team play, but his gift to polo was in teaching and encouraging others to play. He seeded, organized, and ran polo schools for young players all over the country, becoming the United States Polo Association's first polo instructor of the modern game. He has been praised by our Hall of Famers like Doc Roberts and Ski Johnson for his passionate efforts to improve the sport and impart his knowledge, which he did until his untimely death at the age of 58 while on the playing field at Myopia. The Harrison Cup has been played in his honor at Myopia every summer since 1966. Here to accept the award for Cyril Harrison is his daughter, Lee Harrison Child. Welcome, Lee.
Talk real close to the mic, it helps.
I have my support team here. That's so great. I am so thrilled to be here tonight to accept this honor with my family. And we want to thank the Board of Directors and the nominating committee of the Hall of Fame and the museum, and most especially Brenda and George. This evening would not have happened without you. Thank you so much. And our dear friend Peter Poore, whom I've known since he was practically born, has been so supportive, and I'm so thrilled that he's here with us tonight. So, almost 100 years ago, in the 20s, it was a Dr. John Richards who was described in the New Yorker magazine as rabid a polo enthusiast as there is in captivity, spotted my father on a casual ride and introduced him to the game that was to become his life's passion. You might say polo found him, and although he was only 58 when he died playing in an indoor game at Myopia, it was his very good fortune to embrace the game of polo at an early age and run with it literally until his last breath. We celebrate that blessing tonight. At age 21, he was described in the New Yorker again as rather on the smallish side, with the face of a choir boy. Even mounted, he doesn't attract much attention, but there are occasions when this young man, well, times when he raises merry hell, scoring 3 times in the third period with shots from every position in the saddle and out of it. By 23, he was rated 7 goals. Of the 500 men playing polo at the time, only 10 were handicapped at 7 or above. A star of the New York Athletic Club's indoor team, he went on to achieve an 8-goal rating, winning the 1931 National Indoor Championship, beating the team of Raymond and Winston Guest and Stuart Eichelhart. He played high-goal outdoor polo with and against many of the polo greats, from Tommy Hitchcock to Will Rogers. He played at Meadowbrook against the Green Tree team of John Hay Whitney, and as a member of William Ziegler's Great Island team. Polo took him all over the country from one coast to the other, with many stops, many friends, and many green ponies in between. In 1940, he brought his bride, my mother, to Camden to head up the polo program there. A week after their arrival, he was thrown from his mount, suffered a fractured skull. Headlines in the New York Times stated polo star Cyril Harrison had fallen on his head, and if he recovered, he would resume his managerial skills in Camden. Fortunately for us and for polo, he did recover, and for the next decade carried the Camden program, earning the nickname of coach, and as he instructed and encouraged young players all over the Southeast. He started the tack room, a thriving business today, out of the back of his station wagon. I remember so well as a child, he would pick me up from school, his station wagon filled to the brim with polo mallets, and my friends would look in and say, "Does your dad sell brooms?" Always intent on fostering the game, he became one of the very first instructors of the USPA, conducting clinics all around the country. He wrote numerous articles on polo, one of which was discovered by my daughter in the New Book of Knowledge when she was in the 6th grade, years after his death. His many contributions to the game of polo as a player, coach, instructor, mentor, and trainer of ponies were matched tenfold by its gifts back to him. His skills as a meticulous student of the game and patient teacher of it were the foundation on which he built a very happy life. Polo was the perfect sport for him, building on his many God-given talents and making them shine. But it was so much more than a sport. It was the rhythm of his life. I know he'd be thrilled with this occasion, joining so many of his old friends in the Polo Hall of Fame. I must say, growing up, I was unaware of all that he had contributed to polo and how it had returned the favor in spades. but I was keenly aware all those years ago that he was a kind, gentle, and caring man, and one I loved with all my heart. Thank you.
Our remaining award tonight is for the living inductee into the Hall of Fame, Joey Casey. A third-generation horseman, Joey Casey is a world-class polo player, having attained a 7-goal handicap and competed in many high-profile events as a sought-after professional player. His list of major tournament wins includes the 1988 Westchester Cup, multiple wins of the U.S. Polo Association Sunshine League Championship, and the International Gold Cup, the C.V. Whitney, the Gold Cup, the Pacific Coast Open, and many more. Casey is also well respected as a polo pony breeder and trainer of exceptional horses for the sport, having provided reliable equestrian talent for players at all levels of polo. Hardworking and always versatile, Casey was also the polo manager of the iconic Royal Palm Polo Sports Club for over 20 years. He went on to start the Palm City Polo Club in South Florida, dedicated to providing training and mentoring for novice players and affordable low and medium goal polo competition for all to enjoy. We honor Joey Casey tonight. Joey.
Wow, thank you all very much. Woo! Awesome. Really awesome. First of all, shake and bake, baby. Kenny, I got you. First of all, what an honor it is to get in the Hall of Fame, and I'd like to thank the board for voting me in. I'd like to thank my wife, Lorraine, and my daughter, Jacqueline. I'd like to thank my dad, who's still with me, today and helps me just as much as he did when I started playing as a kid. I'd like to thank Jack Coxley as a father, and Debbie. I can't tell you how much you mean to me and everything you've done for me all these years. You were never a sponsor. You were just like a dad to me, and you still are today. Bruce Robson, my brother, being here tonight. I love you so much, bringing the twins and Emily. It's amazing. Thank you so much. All my great sponsors I had over the years, thank you guys so much. Wonderful sponsors I had. And all my great teammates, what can I say? I had a wonderful bunch of teammates, and we have the camaraderie today that we had back then. And Juan Badiola is here tonight. A special friend of mine brought him in tonight. Melissa, thank you. That was awesome. So great to have him here. And also I want to thank all my family and friends for being here tonight, all the people that flew in and came, Stan, everybody. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. And Palm City Polo Nation for being here tonight. I love you guys. Thank you. And one more thing, all my horses I played all those years, all the great horses I got to play. I played a lot of great horses, and I loved them very much. Apache was probably my favorite. And Jack used to play him in the 20 goals, and I'd play him in the 26 goals. And then Jack would give me one of his best horses to play in the 26 goals and everything. But what a great relationship. Thank you all very much. That's all I got. Thank you. Can I say one more thing? One more thing. You have no idea how much George and Brenda do here, the curators of the museum. Brenda, you're absolutely amazing, and George, thank you for all the help and everything you did for us. You guys are special, and you're absolutely amazing. Thank you very much.
So, in closing, one, I want to thank all of you for coming and supporting the museum. This has been one of the largest, well-attended events, and I can say in the last 10 years, the Polo community has come out in droves every year to support the museum and to support the honorees. So thank you all for coming. Thank you again for all of our sponsors and the people who help make this happen, from the volunteers to the people who donate everything to make the dinner a success. And lastly, I want to mention to you as you go out tonight, I mentioned Melinda Brewer has developed this book, which we give out as a gift, and we'll give it to you at the door. If you get a chance, thank Melinda for what she's doing for the museum, because without her, there'd be no portraits of the horses to remember in the museum. And lastly, we're going to finish the evening with the band behind me, and we hope everyone stays and enjoys the music and gets to spend some more time with your friends. And we appreciate all of it. Thank you very much.